You're tuned in to Live Farmgirlfit.
It's fitness as a lifestyle.
Keep it simple, get it done.
I know food is fuel. What I'm making at home tastes better.
Hard work yields results.
The best part of Farmgirlfit is the people.
Welcome to Live Farmgirlfit, episode 5. I'm Janessa.
And I'm Jenny, and in this episode we're going to be talking about ways to take care of yourself, not just physically in the gym, but also to take care of your mental state, your happiness, your attitude. Includes taking time to be still and just reflect on your life and quiet the mind and take time to breathe and relax.
We are also going to follow up in episode 3. We challenged you guys to show us how you can fit fitness in, things that you're doing to get your exercise in, and to use our hashtag LiveFarmGirlFit. We promised 5 winners would receive a tank top, so at the end of the show today, we'll announce those 5 winners. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so on today's topic of kind of relaxing, first we want to kind of set the stage and talk about like the static, the hectic world that we live in. And we all know that we have a lot of responsibilities. It's work, it's family, it's the home, trying to run errands on your lunch break, and not to mention that just how everything is readily available at your fingertips these days, from our smartphones to tablets and laptops and watches that talk to you and cars that talk to you or drive for you. And the idea behind it is to add to convenience, but really what ends up happening is we're in kind of this sensory overload all the time.
For sure. I mean, especially when you think about like on my end, I think about my baby and my kids a lot of times. Like I like to have, no TV on and things like that, because those things we don't even think about sometimes, but it really affects your body, and especially with kids, but also adults, honestly. If you have the TV on, you can hear sort of a muffle in the background of maybe a kid has a radio on, and then you have your phone there, and then your computer's on, and the microwave's going, and like all these things, I think like we don't really realize how that affects us all. And so really the static is there. And so what we're going to kind of focus on is sort of taking away all of that, and there's various ways you can do that, but to sort of just recognize that that's really bombarding us in a lot of ways, and that we can do some things to really have that mental stillness and clarity. So
yeah, and we talk a lot about, as females and as women, we take a lot of that kind of overload a lot of times. We feel, I think some of it is really self-induced. We feel obligated and responsible that, it's our charge to take care of the family, and it's our charge to do all these different things. We're trying to wear a lot of hats, really. You are career-oriented, but you're family-oriented, or whatever it is, and just kind of trying to be still and find moments of calm.
And women especially, I think, we all go through these life changes, but I did read a book actually when I was in my 20s called 20-something, 20 Everything. And that was like the first time I really started thinking about some of these concepts, because I myself was going through that sort of change where everything, college, whatever, everything's set up for you. You go to eat, this is what you do, your classes are set up, everything's fine. You don't really have to worry about a lot of these things. And then right after that, you're like, what am I supposed to be doing? Am I supposed to try to be starting a family, getting married? Should I be traveling? Should I be? And that's the thing, like a lot of women, and here even, I feel like we see those women, and they're like sort of in between jobs. I know at one point I was doing so many different types of jobs, but it is a thing. It is a generational, cultural thing right now that I think a lot of girls in this sort of age range are really dealing with. And I'm not saying I'm 20-something, but for sure that is something that I think the book really addresses and talks about. So you should check out that book. It is really interesting.
So if we're talking about, if that is kind of the stage, this is the world that we live in, what are some things that we can do to take a minute to quiet that and kind of just reflect and be calm? And the big thing for us is exercise.
Right, and so we're talking about ways to sort of relax, and sort of the way that we a lot of time blow off steam and things like that is through exercise. And obviously that's the first one that comes to our mind, because that's our, our career and then our sort of realm. But we do a specific type of training that doesn't really let you shut your mind off completely. Like, we really feel there's a big connection between mind and body with the style of training that we do. The weights and kettlebells and things, the interactive sort of community group setting that we do, you can't just, it's not as if you were going to sort of a traditional gym, getting on some sort of machine, opening up your magazine and sort of just going for the stair stepper. That's kind of not what we're talking about. And what I think our first course of action as far as like exercise goes is the reaction that you get from exercise, that feeling of after you've completed a really good workout, that's where you feel that sort of calm and still and like you've completed something and that your body sort of goes, like, that was good.
Yeah.
But not saying that during the actual course of exercise that you can sort of zone out in any way.
Right. And kind of to the contrary, the way we train, we actually want you to stay connected, and we ask you to count something or pay attention to the clock. How long is it taking you to do things? And because of that connection to the mind body, but there is afterwards, once you go through that hard part and the sweat and you get your heart rate up, and then the calm that comes afterwards and being able to release that stress.
That's definitely a point too, where that same sort of feeling that we're prompting everybody to try to get to, that same sort of calmness. And then another way, obviously, is through yoga. We both have experiences doing yoga. We're not instructors by any means, but we definitely have our own experiences with yoga. I once took an Ashtanga 101 course with a local studio here, and that really opened my mind to yoga. As far as I'm a very get in the gym, work out, stretch, do some mobility and go. And so a lot of times we can't calm our minds down enough to accept yoga in a way. And so during that just 101 course, just connecting breath with the movement and really sort of just, at first it was a challenge to focus on that, and then all of a sudden it just sort of happens and flows. And I'm not sure if you guys have that sort of experience or do yoga, but we would definitely suggest that you try to do that.
Yeah. And it's actually one of the things that we hear a lot from our members of the reasons they don't want to do yoga is because they don't want to just sit still and breathe. They get bored, or I'm too ADD for that, I can't do it. And maybe the people who need it the most.
Right.
And it's hard to kind of slow down and really try to connect your breath. And one of the ways you try to do that at first is counting your breaths, count your inhales, count your exhales, because it gives you something to focus on. And then pretty soon you can kind of zone out of that. And that little mind-body connection is pretty powerful.
So the end pose is one of the things that I learned from my 101 course. She said, and I'm probably not quoting her correctly, but she said really the whole entire series, the flow that you just did, everything is benefited in that last pose, which is
Shavasana.
Right. Like corpse pose, or just, that's where you actually gain all the benefits, because that's the pose where you're just supposed to not think of anything, just be, and even your chest isn't supposed to be going up and down, it's just supposed to be still. And I always thought that was weird. That was always the time I was like, okay, what time is it? I wonder what time it is.
Where do I have to go now?
Yeah. And after I took that course, I was like, okay, actually, no, that's not the point of this. But yeah, so yoga, I think, and we offer it here.
Yeah, it's one of the things we found is not only, it's a good balance to not only the physical activity that we do. A lot of the weightlifting or higher impact stuff can be hard on the body if you don't take that time to restore. So yoga is a great way to build in that restoration, so it complements physically what we do, but also the mental side of it too, for your mental health, and being able to take that minute to relax. And actually, it's one of the classes that we offer our free childcare for, because it's so important for a lot of the moms you can have that hour where we're taking care of your kids, and you can do it here.
Yeah, some of my best days, I think, working out days in general have been when I've worked out and then followed it up with a yoga class. You're just floating after that. You just feel so good, and you just feel like everything is where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Brain, mind, body, everything is good. Firing on all cylinders.
Yeah. So that's something that we're going to have a couple little challenges for you at the end of the episode also to take forward, but keep that yoga in mind on it. One of the other great things that we found as a way to kind of take a step back is journaling. And actually, Jenny introduced me to the 5-minute journal, which I love the concept of it because, I mean, you think about journaling and it feels like maybe this thing
Daunting.
you did, like for 30 minutes or when you did in high school or something in your teenage years, and everybody hates me and school was so hard today.
Cute.
I really like him, but he doesn't even notice me. And that's not really so much what we're talking about. But I love the idea of 5 minutes because truly, if you're honest with yourself, you can make time for 5 minutes, no matter what else you have going on. And the nice thing about this particular journal is it gives you pointed topics. So things that you're focusing on for 5 minutes in the morning and in the evening.
Yeah, and we actually gave them to all of our Farmgirlfit coaches too, like after we had them for a little while. And it really focuses on being grateful, saying like, what are you things that you're grateful for. Weekly challenges, it has really nice quotes and motivational things. And then the part I really like is affirmations, because we really don't speak to ourselves very kindly very often, and so really that just in the morning, 5 minutes in the morning to go through those, and then 5 minutes at night sort of reflect on the day and all of that, I think is just so nice.
Yeah, and I think part of it, I mean, writing can be very like hypnotic or very therapeutic, I guess, just going through that motion of kind of writing down your thoughts or your emotions or whatever you're feeling. But it's also kind of keeping you at a healthy distance from yourself too. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in the details and the actual happenings of what's going on in the day that you don't take a time to reflect on where does that factor in to the big picture? What does it really mean? Is it even worth the stress that I'm putting into it? And so journaling, just kind of getting it out there, gives it a space and a time so you're not just ignoring it, but it's not wrapping you up and bearing you down.
That's a really great way to sort of visit goals too, you know. So it could be that maybe you're not doing the 5-minute journal, but you're doing more of a traditional style journal. But you should definitely think of how you want to set that up. How you don't want to just be like necessarily like, well, today sucked, I didn't get, all my tasks done and yada, yada, yada. Really think about how you're going to set it up. If you're going to say like, this is something good that happened today, this is something I should have done better. Sort of like set it up to where you're not just setting yourself up to just vent into a journal. And then also maybe leaving some room there to have, visiting goals every so often, a certain, term. Maybe it's once a month, maybe it's every 3 months or something, but personal goals, health goals, career goals, thinking about those, I think just really, like you were saying, just sort of lets you have this different perspective and seeing, where you're going, where you're at now, and what the trajectory is for, where you want to be and what do you want to do.
Make sure those are all aligning. So if you're fairly new to journaling, or if that's kind of a new concept, the 5-minute journal is a great place to start because it kind of lines out those things for you and gives you some focused thoughts so that you're not just like spinning your wheels and it doesn't turn into a teenage diary version. So
it's cool.
Check that out. That's a good one. Another one that we find very helpful is meditation and or breathing exercises. So for some people that might mean prayer if you're religious. For others it's not. It's just time to think, reflect. There are lots of apps with guided meditations, and these don't, I guess the key with all of these that we're kind of trying to hit on is that it doesn't have to be a lot of time. You don't have to be doing an hour-long meditation. It can be 5 minutes or 10 minutes and something kind of short, but that you're giving dedicated time to.
I think it's surprising that you can even take 5 minutes, and just in 5 minutes, like, you can totally feel completely different than what you did 5 minutes previous. I mean, it could even be like a shower or something like that, but just knowing that you could sit there and do a meditation or turn on an app or something like that, and knowing that because you're in a funk or, you have all this tension right now, in just 5 short minutes, you can feel completely resolved of all of that. I think that's amazing, and our minds are so powerful. I don't think that people give themselves enough credit and really give themselves that time. And I think sometimes when you do have, when you become a mom, sometimes that is so hard to just be able to just like walk away, and just be like, and just do something that's going to make you sane again.
Well, like you were just saying that you guys got back from vacation and the boys were both kind of dealing with that in their own ways, sick, ear infections, and that you just have to take a minute.
I went out into the patio in the sun and I just was like, I don't think anybody's going to get hurt in 5 minutes, but I went out in the sunshine and I just sat there. And I was like, okay, I don't hear any screaming. I think I'm good. Did some breathing, went back in, and it was fine and handled it.
Yeah.
But really, I have a little bit of an experience with meditation, and it didn't work out the way I had wanted it to, but I took some hypnobirthing classes for my first pregnancy, and hypnobirthing is a really interesting way. It's essentially meditation and hypnotizing yourself to be able to do the birthing process without any narcotics or anything. I won't go into my birth story. It didn't necessarily help me at the time. However, it did help me in a different avenue or venue when I was actually getting a tattoo. I was able to use my hypnobirthing, and I essentially fell asleep. I meditated and sort of hypnotized myself, and the tattoo artist was like, I've never had anybody fall asleep. I was like drooling. And he was like, are you okay? But I had totally just like I did not honestly feel any pain at all. And so at least I got to use my hypnobirthing classes for my tattoo.
For something.
But really, honestly, I do think that it works. My sister, she just like angels come and just like, and the baby comes out. And like, it's just like that really can happen. But anyways, meditation.
The power of the mind is a real thing. It really is. And I mean, we hear a lot, or you can talk a lot about like your psychology and the way that you see something, whether you're portraying it in a positive light or a negative light, or if you feel like bad things are happening to you all the time, take a look at what your perspective is on the situation. There's two sides to every story. There's two ways at least to interpret every situation. And just your mental clarity and the way that you kind of set your mind to the way you're going to take it is like influences what it's.
Yeah, if
how it's
everything
gonna come
is
out.
negative, most likely you need to reset yourself. You know, like if everybody's out to get you, listen to yourself speak in conversations in group settings. If everything you say has a negative connotation to it, or it has that sort of vibe to it, I feel like that you need to take the time to do some meditation and some breathing, possibly to get back to a more happy state.
Yeah, I kind of was going through that for a little while, and like just coming through the winter, I feel like winter's always kind of a hard time, but a lot going on, and just feeling really busy and really stressed about it, and was noticing that everything, like my husband
Everything
asked me,
bothered
like,
you.
yeah, everything, everybody, and I'd come home, and how was your day today? And it was terrible. It was fine. I mean, it was fine. Like it was fine was the best that I could do. And I don't know, started really reflecting on that. And we did this challenge to our members, or I guess kind of a challenge, but a goal setting thing around that same time, holiday season, challenging them to be present. And we asked them to do a personal goal and a performance goal. So something physically active. And my personal one was to take some time for myself, because I felt like that's where my stress was coming from. I felt like all my time was towards other people. And interesting, actually, one of the things I learned is I didn't do a very good job of that because it wasn't very directed. I tried to tell myself to take 30 minutes a day to myself, but I left it at that without saying what I was going to do in those 30 minutes. Yeah. And really could have been a lot more efficient with just saying, I'm going to take 10 minutes to journal, or I'm going to take 10 minutes to read, or 10 minutes to meditate, or
yoga,
or something, but something specific, and I could really shorten the time and get more benefit out of it. And then it helped a lot. Actually, the 5-minute journal helped a lot with that.
Cool.
Yeah, so I guess breathing is another one that kind of along those same lines. And the nice thing about breathing is you have to do it.
Everybody knows how to do it, but really maybe not. I mean, we're talking about breathing in a way that really is deep breathing, oxygenating the body and the blood. And there's this up-and-coming, sort of guy. His name's Wim Hof, and I actually have a little experience with it. My husband was kind of into it, is into it, but I just did one session. Yeah. And honestly, the first session is just, it's just breathing, but he's directing you, and he's, this sort of rustic dude, and he's known as the Iceman. But anyways, I did the thing, and I'm just like thinking, okay, and one of those things where you shut your brain off and just do it, and because he was really talking about how it's been amazing for him, and so I did it, and then at the end you sort of inhale, exhale, and then just see how long it takes you before you need to inhale. Yeah. And I felt really tingly and oxygenated, and just you're laying flat, but then I didn't need to take a breath for over 2 minutes. Like, I wasn't like like holding my breath like this. It was just like you didn't have that need to just go like
gasp.
that. It was really interesting. So I actually want to get a little more into it and do some more of that. But he's a pretty interesting guy. You guys should really look him up and check it out.
Google that up.
Google that up.
WIMHOF, Wim Hof.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting stuff.
It's pretty cool. But so what are some of the things that you like to do besides like yoga, exercise, or journaling? What are some of the things that you do to just relax or zone out?
Well, I mean, there's big things. Like, I feel like a really good treat is a massage or something at the spa, even just like a manicure or a pedicure. Even if you're going to just like one of the cheaper, like quick places, but just to sit into that like massage chair for a minute and have somebody waiting on you. It's what, $20, and it's half an hour, and I really like it. Up until like a full massage or a full day at the spa, of course, it's quite the treat, but not necessarily something you do on the regular.
I like to take like an essential oil bath or Epsom salt bath. I really like that, especially if I'm sore. And then maybe have a little glass of wine or something like that. But I love that. But do you have any experience with this new like craze of adult coloring books? Because I feel like they're like everywhere I go, I see these coloring books, but they're supposed to be like sort of meditative.
Yeah, so funny, actually. Like, the holidays this year, like, right at the start of the winter was, like, my mental state I really needed to get right. But I bought adult coloring books, and a whole set of colored pencils. I haven't done one.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
It's sitting on the counter.
I actually gave them as gifts for a couple of people. I was like, I don't know what to get you. How about a coloring book? These are really trendy right now.
Yeah. So. I did think, though, that would be, I don't know, really good. Because I like crossword puzzles and stuff, but sometimes that's a little bit too, like, mental involvement. And so coloring.
I know.
Just color.
Sit down with your kids.
Yeah.
Do some coloring.
Might be a little too detailed for some of the kids.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, you know what? And I think one of the really great ways to relax is doing it with other people. So you don't necessarily, it doesn't have to be something that you're doing by yourself. And sometimes it's nice to have those quiet moments on your own, but a dinner with friends and, if it's midweek or with your spouse, if it's a date night or your significant other, something that's kind of out of the ordinary. We sort of think like the week, Monday through Friday is like this grind time and there's no fun and you just have to get down to business, and then the weekends are fun and playful. So if you mix that up sometimes, and on a Wednesday night, go out and have dinner and,
we're doing that tonight.
Oh, how nice. I don't know. I think it's good for your relationship. It's good for your own personal clarity. But sometimes you get so caught up in that busy grind and you lose touch with, hey, what's going on? How's your week really? And kind of having that time to connect. So
yeah, for sure. I think that's all really important. So just really stressing that we want you guys to take some time to realize your mental state, really feel like you want to reach out in some way for yourself to just sort of have that time either with friends or with family or something, but really to get back to sort of a happier state. But in this whole thing, we also want you to feel like, for our sort of fitness realm, I keep saying, but we want you to also be mentally tough, right? So we want you to feel like the times that you're supposed to be, engaged in something, you're focused, you're in it, and you're enjoying it, but then there's other times when you can shut everything off and sort of relax. We really do teach our girls here how to be really mentally tough in just the style of training we do, how we set up the programming and things like that.
Yeah. And it's really important because you want to feel like, I think one of the ways that you can help battle the stress or getting that overwhelming feeling is feeling like you have some charge over it, like you have some ability to control it. And so that's what the ability to say, yes, now I'm tuned in and I'm focused and I'm going to be tough and get through this, versus now it's my time to deload and relax and breathe is really important. And if you don't spend time doing both of those, then you don't necessarily recognize when your mind is going that direction.
And we really require our ladies to take that autonomy. Like, yes, we write the workouts up and we really, think about these things. We think about the details in our training, and the environment and all those things. But honestly, they have to really be ready for it, mentally, and they have to prepare. And we do post our workouts online the night before, and I know some people look and then they psych themselves out and then, you don't see them. I really don't like that. But I feel like some of our girls have really grown so much mentally that they, regardless of what we're asking them to do or to, challenging them to do, they're really able to do it. And, 3, 6, a year ago, like months, a year ago, they wouldn't have even been able to wrap their heads around it. So I really feel like part of, exercise and fitness really starts with your ability to tell yourself, I'm willing to do this, I can do this, and not thinking about what other people are going to be thinking or judging you, or really it's all about you judging you.
And judging yourself in a positive way. Like we talk about like self-talk, and when we're talking about mental toughness, it's not like this drill sergeant, like I have to do this or nothing else. It's more, you should feel excited almost about it, that yes, my body's capable of doing this. It's going to be hard, it's going to be a challenge, but I can do it, and I'm excited to try and to move and to do these things. And as opposed to the negative and, oh, I know Jenny's going to get 100 more pounds than I am, or I can't do this. And instead of the defeated side of it, be up for the challenge.
Well, and our girls are, they have this hashtag, but did you die? And I think it's really funny. And I totally feel like that's warranted. And sometimes, obviously our workouts and the things that we ask our ladies to do, we want it to be really challenging. And, we're focusing on performance. We want you to perform well. But at no time do we ever really think about degrading or really pushing someone to their limit. When we talk to our coaches and things, we always say, really get to know each individual and really get to know when you can, this person needs to be yelled at and this person don't even look in their eyes. Like, you really have to know where someone is in their mental state and what they need as far as coaching them and training them. But one thing I really want people to think about as far as when they're starting fitness or they're starting an exercise program is that if you already, tell yourself in your head, I'm gonna be really sucky at this, or I don't think I'm gonna be very good at this. Most likely you're not. There's such a connection with what you tell yourself and really how your body reacts. Like there's a lot of studies about this, about how there's placebo studies and things like that. Like honestly, the way your body reacts and performs is directly related to what you think and what you tell yourself and how you're gonna perform. Visualization is huge. You visualize yourself falling down and being, terrible at burpees or lifting a certain weight, it could happen. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy sometimes, I think. So really go to that clear moment in your head and just accept, what's on the board, what we're going to ask you to do, and I think you'll be really successful with it.
And I think if you think about how you would talk to a friend, so if we were both here and Jenny's like, God, I don't think I can do this, or this looks really terrible, I'm not sure that I'll be able to, how would you talk to her to get her to do it? Because often we say the worst things to ourselves. Like, you're not weak enough, or you're not strong enough, you can't handle this, you're too tired, you didn't get enough sleep, there's no way.
You're going to look terrible doing this.
But you would never say that to a friend or really to anybody else. So start changing that attitude and that talk, and talk to yourself the way you would talk to any other friend or anyone else that you care about.
For sure. Listen to how you're talking to yourself. Does that make any sense? Listen to the voices in your head. Just kidding.
So if you are in one of those really tough workouts or you're in a really tough situation, what's one of the ways that you can kind of approach it, or how do you get through it?
I think me personally, like people have told me they can't read me. I think honestly, I go to Iceman status. Like I feel like that's what Jenny was calling. I did a competition recently with my partner who is very feisty, and she's like, you can tell everything from her body language. And me, I'm just like, because honestly, I just sort of like try to block everything out and I really try to relax my face. I tell people to relax their face a lot, like when I'm training them, because I feel like when you have that aggression, your whole body is going to tense up, and that's what you're going to feel. If you're more in a relaxed state. So I guess really that I try to just refocus everything, block everything out, and focus on just that next second or that next movement or whatever I'm doing.
Yeah. For me, it's like, especially with working out, it comes down to counting. And I know I don't know, my brain works a little bit that way too, kind of numbers brain, but just counting or breaking up the reps, or if I can just count the steps or count the breaths or count whatever it is a way of kind of finding relaxation or finding calm in like the chaos, and having one thing to focus on that's not
one thing at a time.
Not that it hurts or that it feels heavy. It's
Right.
just one, and then it's two, and then it's three, or whatever.
And giving yourself designated breaks, 5-second breath, and then pick up the bar, or whatever you're doing.
All right, so we've talked about your mental toughness, kind of getting your or your mind ready to tackle the next challenge. And now we want to give you one more tip or one more idea for how to calm the mind and kind of take that restorative step. And really, this one is kind of focused on restoring. So it's kind of coming after. So maybe after the workout, or the ways that you're getting back to healthy again.
I think with women, this is such a big concept. Getting 6 to 8 hours of sleep a night. Like, honestly, I'm saying 8, but then I'm like, well, 6 is probably good too.
Yeah.
But honestly, the sleep is so important. Sleep, there's so many more, I keep saying there's so many more studies, but it's true. Like, I'm reading some of these things, and things are coming out all the time about breathing and sleep and how important it is.
Yeah.
Sleep. Like, don't stay up watching Game of Thrones till midnight. Like,
Guilty.
It's already, it's saved. You can watch it anytime. Save it for the next day. Get your butt to sleep. I think that's so important.
Yeah, and that one shot at 6 to 8 hours of sleep, not like, well, I slept 4 hours, so I'm gonna nap for an hour, and you're gonna feel constantly groggy the whole day, like in this half state of half awake. So focus on sleep, but then, put yourself to bed, but get up too, and be ready to tackle that next day. That's sometimes the part that I have trouble with.
By the way, I hate you if you get like 10 hours of sleep, but if you get 8 hours of sleep and your alarm goes off and you don't get up, I'm mad at you.
Yeah.
So no, get up and get your day going. But sleep, I think, not only restores you, but also makes you feel like a new person the next day. Like, it's a fresh new start, right?
Yeah.
So if you're getting woken up a lot, sometimes moms, I totally am with you. But I can go to sleep like that now. If something wakes me up, I'm like, okay, I'm up, I'm bottle, whatever, back to sleep, like, lay down, done. It's a talent now.
It is a talent.
But really, you made a good point, like putting yourself to sleep, have a routine. Just like you put, your kids to bed or whatever. If you have trouble falling asleep, really take that time to do some of these things. That routine is really going to help you get to sleep a little bit faster.
That's what I was going to say. I've actually always been pretty fortunate that I have a pretty easy time falling asleep, but the times that I don't, it's because I'm worried or I'm stressed about what's coming the next day or all of the things that I have to do. And one of the ways I've found to deal with that is to make a list. So before I go to bed, write it down. And I'm not talking about like just making a list for the sake of it. Like, I need to make a grocery list, need to make chore list, and then you have like lists upon lists. Sometimes just that brain dump, and just being able to know that it's there, it's in a place, and then you can come to it the next day and tackle it. And then there's a strange satisfaction that comes too with getting it done and like marking it off.
Yeah, no, seriously, I think that's a really
check that box.
Good tip.
Yeah, because that's sometimes the hardest part is like we're always thinking about what we have to do next. So write it down, and then you don't have to think about it anymore. And coinciding, is that a word?
Yeah.
Going along with sleeping, or I guess the other piece, and I think this is huge for women too, is staying hydrated.
For sure. You're really good. You always have a water bottle. I feel like she always has a water bottle in her purse. I'm like, that's dangerous, but she does it. And you're really good at this. I need to get a little bit better at hydration.
Actually, I was gonna say, I'm really good about having it with me. I'm terrible about drinking it.
But it does correspond with sleep, because honestly, when you feel really down or low or lethargic, we talked about that, drink a huge glass of water, and it's just like you just slept for 8 hours sometimes.
Yeah. That's funny. We met up with some friends a while ago, and we were talking about drinking coffee and like, do you drink coffee, do you not drink coffee? And one of the guys was saying, he's like, actually, I do drink coffee, but I drink it because I like the taste of it. Like, in terms of energy, like what I need in the morning, I drink 2 big cups of water, and he's like, that just like instantly energizes me. I feel like I'm awake and I'm ready to go, and then I sip on my like warm coffee because it's comforting and I like the taste, and as opposed to needing that caffeine to
do that.
Get you going.
I need to drink water and then have my coffee.
Yeah.
It's a good tip. I like that.
Yeah. So a couple other things kind of with the restoration is, and along with getting enough sleep and all of those good things, is knowing when to take a rest day in the gym. So like we've said, that's our big focus is on fitness, but it shouldn't be 7 days a week. It shouldn't be 3 hours a day. It's, it's portioned out. You should do it consistently, but giving your body time to recover in between.
Yeah, and I think we're notorious for telling people you need a rest day.
Yeah.
Like, we want you when you're here. We have all of you. Like maybe it takes you a minute to get warmed up, or your day's still in your head or whatever. But we can tell when somebody's really run down, and we're not gonna. We'd much rather have you not be here and take that time and that restoration before you come back, because honestly, you can get injured.
Yeah.
If you're sleepy, if your body's just sore, tight. People talk about that deep ache, so I'm not talking necessarily about aches and pains or a little bit of soreness or muscle soreness, but it's that sort of like really deep feeling that like I really shouldn't be here right now, and you should really listen to that.
Yeah.
Or if people talk about, oh, I'm really dizzy or something, I'm like, no. So really taking that time to, again, we talked about body awareness, is really taking those cues from your body. Stop ignoring those things.
Yeah.
Your body is very smarter than you. So you need to listen to it and really take heed to all those things.
Yeah, and the injury part is so true. I mean, I think like I remember one girl that was going through studying for the bar exam after law school, which is a very intensive process, and she felt like she just needed to work out. She just needed to sweat and relieve that stress, which, some of it was true, but she ended up like knocking her chin with the bar, or that's just when like your brain isn't quite right then, and so maybe it's just a little bit more rest that you need.
Yeah,
instead.
It wasn't the exercise needed day. That day wasn't there yet. It was more like sleep.
Yeah. And that's not to say, I mean, when you're here, like, we're going to make you work hard, and there's a time and place for both.
Mm-hmm. And I'd also like to note that we're a gym that really doesn't, we don't want you to hurt yourself.
Right.
We don't want to put value to, blood on the floor and things like that. Like, we really want to value you feeling really good after your workout and really getting a lot out of your 1 hour or 45 minutes or whatever you have given us today. We don't want you to feel like you're going to come in here and just kick your ass.
Yeah.
Like, that's, I think that mental state, or that way of thinking about when you walk in the door, it shouldn't be anxiety and all these things. We really hope that our girls and everyone training in this style of training just comes in with an excitement and a happiness, and knowing that you're going to work hard and use your body and do all these fun things, but not that it's,
but you're going to listen to your body at the same time, and
exactly,
when it's too much, and we don't want you to die. So, but did you die? Don't, please don't.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think, what do we think? Does that about cover the things that we had? So I guess basically what we want you to take away from it is it is a crazy world. We, especially as women, have a lot of responsibilities, a lot of demands for our time and our attention, and it's just the world that we live in. So there's a space there for taking time to kind of back off, quiet the mind, de-stress, refresh, restore, whatever you want to call it. So we've given you a couple of things that we'd like for you to do, or options.
So we want to challenge you to do one of three things, or you could do all three. So we either want you to, in the next week, begin journaling. So maybe you order the book on Amazon, or just start your own journal in some way, but take some time to journal. And that would probably be every day, maybe 5 or 10 minutes every day. And then another way would be to start yoga. And we think that maybe doing 3 yoga sessions in your first week really gives you a chance to get the most out of it, especially if you've never done it before. The first time, I feel, is just like funky. Like, it's just like, you're like, oh, what are we doing? But really, after the second or third time, I think that really sort of kicks in and you sort of get it.
Yeah. And you can do one of the like online ones, or the
There's
TV
some good
videos.
ones on TV. Yeah, at home. Or try to get 8 hours of sleep every night. That's a challenge.
Yeah, that would be a huge challenge.
That's a challenge. But honestly, try to do one of those 3 things, and use our hashtag #LiveFarmGirlFit and show us how you're doing. Tell us how you're doing. We'd really like to see those.
Yeah. See if it's making any difference for you.
Yeah.
So, and if you have any other questions or topics, things that you would like for us to discuss or questions that you'd like us to elaborate on related to what we discussed on today's episode, or anything else at all, we would love to hear that. So, of course, you can comment on YouTube, you can comment on Facebook. Make sure that you're following us both those places and on Instagram.
And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our YouTube channel and on iTunes. Make sure you give us a good review. We really love seeing those reviews coming in. I'm looking at them and they're just amazing.
Yeah.
Like warm and fuzzies all over.
All the feels.
We love it. It's great. And then prizes.
Yeah,
We
remember.
up to our first 500 subscribers on YouTube and our first 500 subscribers on iTunes will be in a drawing for a really cool prize.
Yeah, so we're going to give away 2 prize packs, one to each group. So make sure you get in on those entries.
So change your mental state and notice how it makes you feel physically.
And before we totally wrap up, we do have some winners to announce, as promised.
Yes, sorry.
From episode 3, where we asked you to show us how you're getting your fitness in using our hashtag #LiveFarmGirlFit. We had lots of good entries out there. And so we have chosen 5 from the Instagram. So we're going to use your Instagram handle, and then we'll get in touch with you guys also for your tank.
So RunnerGirly08, congratulations.
Neroni, I'm not really sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly,
I think
but
it is.
yeah, you know who you are.
Choco Gets Fit.
And Tucker Elliott, one of our biggest supporters out there.
And Mads Himmel.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yep, Himmel. Mads
Okay,
Himmel.
we'll get in touch with you and congratulations.
Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.